So next step is to add that little bit of sparkle. So what I'm going to do is take the fluffy brush that we used before, the Peaches brush, and I'm just going to tap that over the inner to centre part of the eye. So where we weren't putting shadow before, just to make sure that's nice and clean. Just to make sure that's nice and clean and nice and tidy and ready for our next product. So there's a few ways we can do this. So there is a pot cream shadow, a wanded cream shadow, or you could just go for something like a pressed shadow, all of which will look lovely. But for today, I'm going to layer a little bit. So what I'm going to use is a little bit of the Tom Ford cream, and then we're going to layer it up with the Urban Decay Moon Dust, which is like a scatter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tiny bit of the Tom Ford, and pop it on the back of my hand, and yes, that is going to be a theme. You will get used to having a makeup-filled hand. I'm just going to take, again from the Ariel collection, the flat brush, and it is slightly fluffy. I'm really sorry these don't have numbers on them because that's really annoying. I'm literally just going to pick up a little bit of that product, and then we're just going to apply that over the area in a bouncing, tapping motion. So again, not swiping, we are just bouncing and tapping that cream over the top of the area that we just blended out. And you can start to see that shimmer coming to life. Now the reason I apply it on my hand is twofold. One, it stops me from picking up too much product. So as you can see, I'm pulling that out onto my hand before I apply it. It's making sure it's a nice thin layer of product, because the last thing we want is to get creasy eyes. But what it's also doing at the same time is it's warming that product up so that it's ready to go on your skin. And again, that's going to be a theme as we run through this. The next thing I'm going to do is take my finger. I'm going to take my ring finger on my right hand. And I'm just going to rub that in the Urban Decay Space Cowboy. And I'm just going to, again, tap, 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 tap. What this is, it's like how a pressed shimmer is quite dense. This is like a light scatter, and it captures the light beautifully. So if you're thinking sparkles, but you don't want to be too much, then this product is stunning. It photographs beautifully as well. And what I like to do is just take it a little bit into the crease so that my whole lid sparkles, not just the inner part. But I'll only run over that once, just so it's a really light scattering and nothing too intense. And then finally, I'm just going to add a little bit of my Giorgio Armani eye tint. This is shade 12S. I'm just going to pop that right in that centre part there. Going up slightly here. Again, just to help with that dimension in the eye. We don't want it to be flat, but we also don't want it to be crazy, or I don't anyway. But adding this here, you will see, will take your makeup and your photographs to like the next level. Is add a little bit of liner. Now don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. It's fine. This is something you struggle with. I have a hack, like don't worry. This looks a bit weird, but bear with me. So this is medical tape. And what this will do is if you add this from the corner of your eye up to that tail of your lash, it acts as a barrier. So that automatically creates that nice sharp line that we try so hard to achieve just freehand. Some people are born with the gift of gorgeous eyeliner. I am not, so I cheat. What you want to do with this is pop it on the back of your hand first, because it is quite sticky. And with the skin around your eyes being quite sensitive, you just want to get rid of that, some of that stickiness. Then you want to peel that off, and again, angling that upwards, you want to leave a tiny little gap between that lower lash line. Be careful you don't trap any of your eyelashes because it hurts. And we just want to angle it up towards that tail. If you're not sure, the edge of your eye already is at an angle, so you just need to follow it. And then just double check you're happy with the symmetry. Not if they are sisters, not twins, that's fine. So we are going to do a liquid liner, but first we're going to apply a powder base. So I'm going to take this teeny tiny, I don't know if you can see, this teeny tiny by Georgina Cosmetics brush. It is the number 12. And I'm going to go in a really dark brown. So I'm going to take my Mario palette again, and I'm not going to use the black, I'm going to use the really dark brown. And I'm just going to apply a bit of that to the end of my brush. Again, this is what I was talking about earlier. Can you see that the way I've loaded the brush, exactly as I showed you before, is only leaving product right on the very tip. That's how light you want to be with your application. And then what we're going to do is basically mimic what we did before, but with much more precision because it's a smaller brush. We're going to start right here, so right at the end of your lash line, and we are going to go up towards that crease and stop. Really light pressure, again, holding towards the end. And don't be afraid to go over the tape. As long as you've put it down securely, it will be absolutely fine. And then you want to repeat on the other eye. So at the end of the lash line, and follow up and stop in that corner crease. Really light. And this is my Hat 2 liner. You could leave this like right here and literally just stop. So we are going to go in with the liquid liner, not because we have to, but because I know a lot of people do get a little bit nervous. So let's just work with it. So I'm going to use the NYX Vivid Matte. So NYX, NYX, I'm not sure how you're supposed to say that. And what we're going to do is we're going to close our eyes and we're going to lay the brush flat against the lid. And in small motions, just draw a nice straight line. And then I stop right at the corner where that shadow is that we had on earlier. But yeah, the key is to do this in bits. So don't draw one big line going all the way across. Just go in stages, just little strokes. Makes all the difference, honestly. And don't feel like you have to go all the way into the inner corner either. Go as far as you want to, as far as you're comfortable with. What I do quite like is just a half liner. But because I'm going to put lashes on in a sec, I just like to make sure that there's liner wherever my lash band is going to go, just to give me that added peace of mind that everything's okay. Just as that added little bit of safety to make sure that there is not a risk of a gap between the lash line, or band, sorry, and my lash line. Because that way you don't have to be super, super, super precise and you can give that added effect of lift. And then all I'm doing to create the tail is following just exactly where we put that powder earlier. And then drawing a little triangle down. So when you've got the tail coming out, draw a little triangle in to create your wing. And then I'm just doing it all together. Again, liner isn't something that you expect to be perfect. So don't sit here for like 2 hours trying to make it perfect when, in all likelihood, unless this is your thing and you're really good at it, it's really hard. And if liquid liner is something that just gets you all worked up, don't do it. Just don't do it. So now we've got that done, I'm just going to pull off the tape that we used earlier. And as you can see, we've got our nice sharp lines. So that is my hack to really simplifying the whole wing look. I'm just going to take a makeup wipe and just go over the underneath of the liner and just make sure it's all pulled out. And there isn't anything there that we don't want to be there.